part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane.
This is Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action. This is Mark Wade, writer of Superman Worldwide, and you're listening to the Krypton Report.
June is fast approaching, and that is not only Superman Day, but it's also the 10th anniversary of Man of Steel. Check out our website on Facebook for the information to join, as we will be updating it, our live Man of Steel rewatch. We'll be streaming, and we'll be making an online party to rewatch Man of Steel. So please add that to your calendar. And remember,
look up in the sky.
Welcome to the Krypton Report podcast. Hey, it's a special live impromptu episode because, we hadn't done a live episode and I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to get James on the line here. He keeps dropping. Last thing I knew, he was fighting crime, and you never know how that can be. So, yeah, I don't know where he's at. Let's see. James, you there? Are you coming in? James. Hello?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's James, everybody. James, hey, man. Wow.
Yeah, I'm here.
Wow. So, for everyone, this is James. Hey.
Hello.
We might have seen him in that promo at the beginning, but we were in the same room together. This is
Never.
not green screen.
Yeah.
Look, there he is. See?
Right?
Not a special effect. We are in the same room for once. We've only podcasted this like how many times?
I was to say
Maybe
less than a
3.
handful.
Yeah, less than a handful. And usually it's like some weird like portable hand recorder or something. But this is cool. Like James came to visit us here. And Lois, she's taking over the house. The youngest person here, and she pretty much manages the house. Oh, there she is.
Yeah.
Looks like somebody bumped her head. Was it Zod?
Hi.
Was it Zod?
She was helping me fight crime.
We talked about sidekicks and training them young, but James took it to a whole new level. He just decided, 2 was a good spot to start fighting crime. Sayla, she's just now starting at 6. We're not sure what's up with Solomon, but hey, we know this is kind of last minute. Like we didn't get to do much prompting and promoting for this special because of just the fact last time things happened and James wasn't able to come and visit. But here we are.
This one, she got her kryptonite poisoning.
Yeah, we discovered it must have been red because it felt very unnatural and weird.
Yeah.
But let's chat. Hey, same room, talking, podcasting.
Yes,
we got
sir.
a few things. This is episode 449. For those who don't know, we did talk about a few episodes back about how we were able to recover some of the lost episodes that were mainly more of season 2 of Supergirl, and that's pretty cool. So, announcement:
bumped up that episode count a little bit.
I was like,
pretty quick.
We will be our next thing as voted on. We will be reviewing the Ruby Spears. 13 episodes, technically, but 2 episodes per block. We will be reviewing those as voted on by you, the listeners / viewers. So we're excited that James and I, have you ever watched any of the Ruby Spears?
No, not that I can recall. It doesn't look any familiar. I've seen that character before, but I can't tell you.
I wanted to buy them years ago. Like I saw them at Target for like $5 for this set, and I thought it was just another repackaging of the Fleshers. Like, because it's I didn't realize like it said Ruby Spears on it. It just said Superman cartoons, and I was like, okay. And I was like, I had bought in the Max Fleshers like twice already because they just packaged it differently, and I didn't realize it.
Have to buy it itself. Get the Blu-ray.
Yeah. So I saw that. I didn't buy it. Then I found out it was the Ruby Spears, and now like the price went up. And I did buy them eventually for like $10 on iTunes with a gift card I had. Because I was going to do it. I think it was back in like 2019 I bought them. And I was like, we'll get to them eventually on the podcast. Here we are, 2023.
Eventually. Yeah.
And we're gonna do that as we take a break, and then, man, that's her battle cry.
Yeah, it is.
So we will be doing that as we just wanted to touch on a few
God
things.
forbid I'm behind a closed door.
That recently was Free Comic Book Day. This episode is kind of coming out later because live. You never know. This is why I don't podcast live hardly ever, because I have children and James has children, and children don't understand live nor they understand how to leave us alone.
No, they don't. Especially when you want them to leave you alone. That's impossible.
Yeah, nobody leaves you alone when they want you to. And then when you're doing absolutely nothing is when they leave you alone. And then when you go to do anything is when they show up and bother you.
Yeah. Yep.
So I traveled. I was in San Francisco and it felt at a weird time. And then just trying to get caught back up with some things. We had not got the podcast. So we saved this special episode here.
Yeah. I was coming down and we just kind of added to what we were going to talk about over the last couple of weeks.
So I think all my news and stuff is quite up to date. No, there's one thing I forgot to add to. So Full Circle happened, the SnyderCon thing, and that was pretty cool. I'm not gonna, it was a lot of like conversations on things that happened or things that they had wanted to do, and the big thing was just the whole like our Kryptonian, like one of their ideas was the Greek gods were going to be descendants from Krypton, and people were like going crazy, like, oh, that's what it was. And, I remember talking about it before that open pod was a big deal. It was going to be a big deal in their whole kind of story canon of what they wanted to do. And, I look at it like this, like Man of Steel was to be the more grounded Superman series. Very kind of devoid of like the Silver Age fantasies. It just has fantasy-esqueness. Whatever word I'm trying to say. And I guess by, you're introduced aliens, and even with the aliens making it as grounded as possible, the idea that aliens would be on Earth and could be descendants of the Greek gods and Kryptonians, it kind of makes sense, but that's not what they did. But people are acting like it's gospel.
Yeah. I mean, the idea that like the Norse gods in the MCU, they have been adapted to kind of like aliens. They're beings from another realm. They have a longevity to their lives, but they are mortal beings, like immortal, with Zack Snyder stuff, it's not like it went to screen.
Yeah, it was just things that they had talked about and were workshopping and working, but
that's how ideas and brainstorms work. They had a theory of trying to ground it. You can tell by watching the movies that there is a very grounded nature to it, but they also do this very grand, epic, operatic thing, and they have taken it much farther. The Zeus and Ares and Artemis, they were large beings, they weren't Kryptonian, they weren't human sized.
No.
They were at very different powers. They kept them true.
Yeah.
That's what landed on screen. So whatever the process or ideas that were shared, the point being at Full Circle was Zack Snyder talking to his fans, people who paid $400 plus traveling expenses to meet him and watch his movies on IMAX on this huge screen, and all of this. Like, it would absolutely, I wish I could have, but if I could go back and I could, I'd do it. Absolutely. I'd be at Full Circle.
I'll say our friend Rebecca from Supergirl Radio was there.
Yes,
and
she
got
was.
to interview Snyder. So check out her information at Supergirl Radio on her, her Facebook, her YouTube. You'll see her interview and her discussion with that, and that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. It's just, that's how they work. You know what I mean? Like, you have to throw ideas out there to see what's going to work, what's not going to. and it was talking to the fans. Obviously, Zack Snyder's movies have such this layered storytelling. It's everything you see on screen. It's the visuals on screen, the characters, and the dialogue. Everything that's told to you, plus everything you can see. Like it's such a layered level of storytelling. So people have been asking what these things could mean, what they could be. I mean, honestly, when it comes to canon, if the
that thing you fire from a ship, like in Pirates of the Caribbean,
canon usually the followed upon story, the agreed upon timeline,
that kind of canonization. Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
You know, like that picture of Batman and Catwoman canon.
Oh yeah. That's a good canon.
Anyways, he the official comic that was released before Man of Steel is that it's a Kryptonian ship, and none of them were Zeus or Ares on that ship.
One of them was supposed to be Supergirl.
Yeah, one of them was supposed to be a Kara Zor-El. So, yeah, it's just, you know, I even said, I made posts about it too, like, he was talking to audiences. Like, I watched that section, that discussion, and none of it was like, that is, Zeus is Kryptonian. Like, that's it. Like, hands down. That was not said. That was not a part of the discussion. That was not a point made. It was talking about like their story ideas and what those things could have possibly meant. But, you know, ultimately what we got is what's on screen. But everything that's out there is, you know, Zack Snyder says that's what happened when, I mean, you can take a quote and make it mean whatever you want.
It's the internet age.
Oh yeah, I mean, as soon as we saw that come out, we said in the chat like, man, the internet's gonna be on fire this week because of something Snyder talked to his fans about,
an
like,
idea
brainstorming ideas.
Hey, I had
and
this
the
idea
internet
once.
freaking burns up.
I had this idea. Oh no, don't have ideas. It becomes complete canon.
Mm-hmm.
So Free Comic Book Day came and went. Did you do anything for Free Comic Book Day?
I took Allura and Jamie out to the comic book store. You know, just got some pictures of some cosplayers.
That's cool. We didn't get
it was a good time.
I didn't get to do anything for Free Comic Book Day.
Not much.
That's because I was on the plane coming back. So, but we had planned to go somewhere and do stuff for Free Comic Book Day, but it happens. It's cool. It's kind of a bummer as far as like I really love Free Comic Book Day, and just the shop up in Columbus does a lot. Let's see here. We got 3 new posters for the Flash, like individual character posters. Those looked really cool. There, we got the one. Do you remember the first poster they released of Supergirl, where it's like her head was down?
Yeah.
Well, now there's like the same poster, but her head is up and she's looking at you.
You mean that one?
Yep. So it's like now her head is up and she's looking at you. So that was released.
Yeah, she's turned around. She's facing you.
There's like a bunch of
same color scheme though.
There's a bunch of TV spots that are running of the Flash, like 13 seconds, 10 seconds. Some of them are circulating online. Has a lot of like little new footage in it. I won't go into everything. I'm not gonna spoil like.
Well, you mean like a couple of frames is going to spoil the movie?
Yeah.
I mean, we can make up our minds because of a couple of frames out of a 10-second TV spot?
Yep.
Okay. All right. I didn't know that.
Yeah, totally. Sadly, Titans has ended. James hasn't watched it yet. Janine and I watched it last night.
Nope, but I'm ready to binge that whole second half of season 4 now.
All I can say is, but I'm really hating with like things ending. With the Flash this season and with Titans, it's like there's 2 episodes of Titans that almost felt like complete filler. And like, because when it came back, it dropped 2 episodes. And I'm pretty darn sure that we could combine those into 1 episode. And it really felt like filler. And then when we got to the last episode, I was like, it works as a series finale. It also works as a season finale.
Yeah, that's what you had said about the second episode. Like it could have been part of the first.
And I'm like, you're wasting my time when this is the end. And that's how I'm feeling. Like we'll have a better discussion about the Flash when it completely finishes here in 2 weeks. But sadly, that's how I'm feeling. Is like you wasted my time on episodes that were pure fluff. And if this is the end, the final run, like I don't want fluff. Okay, foam, froth, whatever. I want the good stuff. So Titans is over, and we are seeing this era of all this DC TV that had exploded, and we knew it all ended one day. But now, as of this recording, this live recording here, we are twiddling our thumbs, waiting to hear if Superman and Lois is going to be canceled or not. There's a lot of mixed reports coming that it's definitely going to be on Max next. But we know that Gotham Knights and Superman and Lois, one of them is supposed to be canceled and one is not. And I said this to you, like the CW is over. The Warner Brothers and the UPN, the CW network that we have loved for what? 20. Well, it's less than 20 years technically.
I was going to say, when did it become the CW? Season 6
of Smallville?
Of Smallville?
Which would be season... Was Supernatural on the WB at all, or was it just CW?
Oh, man. You know what? That's tough.
Did it switch?
The vast majority was on the CW.
Yeah, I mean, 15 years.
Absolutely. yeah, absolutely. The vast majority. And I think trying to think if it was, you know what? It might have even been season 4 of Smallville when it went to CW, because that's when like the ads changed and everything. Yeah.
So it's either 4 or 5. And I think maybe the first season of Supernatural was WB and then became CW. But anyway, so that still puts us at like...
I gotta see when CW was formed.
Yep. James is on it. But all that to say, like, they axed the Winchesters. They're getting rid of all their scripted shows. So everything that we come to recognize, the Channel 4 is gone. And personally...
September 18th, 2006.
So that would be season 6 of Smallville. And what, season 2 of Supernatural?
Mm-hmm. Yep, sounds right.
So, personally, I would like to see Superman and Lois continue at least for 2 more years, leading us up to Superman Legacy. And I would love to see it switch to a Max series. Even though we know that Max is having its own issues and its own problems, but I think a bigger budget would help. I also think the caliber of that show is bigger, and I feel like that's why it might get canceled, is because it is a more expensive show than Gotham Knights.
But what's bringing in anything, like what's bringing in viewers, what's bringing in streamers. I mean, Superman and Lois is leaps and bounds like one of the best shows that
CW's ever produced.
Ever.
Ever.
It's kept its top quality writing, really good effects and production value. We were talking because we watched, for some reason, Prime does not have the new episode of Superman and Lois available for me to buy, because this season, for whatever reason, I can't buy it as a season. I have to buy it per episode. So that's stupid. Prime, fix that.
Not Optimus.
But yes, it's horrible. So I've been all week.
Oh, snap. The door. Who else came from the portal? Oh, snap. Nobody came. Oh, look, it's Solomon.
Yeah.
He's escaping the Phantom Zone.
I got fight Doomsday, so bye.
Bye. Good luck.
Yeah. We just got to watch the newest episode of Superman and Lois. At least I did.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't have bought it. It's still not available as of just before we got on here. I can't buy it on Prime. What the hell?
It probably dropped right now.
I know, right? Like everybody's gonna jump on Prime right now. Like it's right here. Like,
And you're
well,
like,
you know
oh.
what? Just before we got on, it wasn't there. We were checking.
So,
but
what sucks is I've been watching Gotham Knights kind of in the background. As like, I'm curious how they're gonna develop Two-Face because Two-Face is my favorite Batman villain. I like the Court of Owls.
You like Misha Collins?
Yeah. So I'm just like, okay, but like when they started this, I'm like, I don't even want to watch it right now. I don't want to give it any more credit than it's due. If it's competing against Superman and Lois, I'll wait till they decide what they're doing, or I'll wait till it like just all hits like Max or something. And
at this point, I feel like if anybody's watching Gotham Knights, if they're watching it live or they're streaming it, they're doing it on the CW app. I don't think anybody bought it. Like bought the season to try to watch it.
The CW has been so crazy with where it's pushed so much. Like watch our app next day, that their live numbers look horrible because everyone's like, just watch on the app next day.
Yeah.
That was like their business. That was like what they're trying to make themselves like stand out for. Like we put it on the app.
You can watch it for free. And the same commercial, you
you just get the same commercial
20 times
every couple of minutes
in an episode.
It sucks when you have a lot of shows and you try to catch up on. That's what really sucked because I would watch. Let's see what we got here. All right, switched over from Twitter for better quality. Awesome. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Yeah, totally lost my train of thought. We're still working on this live thing.
Anyways, Superman and Lois has been getting better and better, like every episode.
And you'll hear more of us talk about that as we get there.
So, just the idea that Gotham Knights would be
the one they would choose,
the one they would continue, is
the
just
one that they
ludicrous. It's lunacy to me.
So, that's my Jeff Goldblum from Jurassic Park. Other news. So it looks like Crypto will be appearing in Superman Legacy. Anyone having feelings on this? Because, okay, I feel like, going back in the mindset of like, if Man of Steel was like our very grounded Superman approach, Superman Legacy is going to be very Silver Agey. I think I have a feeling that's where we're going to kind of put it in the realm of like peaks comic book craziness.
Yeah, I think that they should, because even like on the MCU side, there have been like they've really like pulled things from the comics, but they've also tried to like make it almost really grounded. But then there's also some things that are just way off the wall. And I think they should absolutely lean into the comic bookness of the IP. You know what I mean? Really give us something that we would somewhat like recognize as comic book fans. I'm not saying 1-to-1 translations or anything, but just something we would feel like they're the comic books that we read.
Yeah.
But like going Silver Age lunacy, I think is going way too hard. And if that were the case,
and everyone's because he used the artwork for Superman for All-Star Superman, which is very Silver Age.
Yeah.
But if Crypto's in it, that's fine. I mean, we've seen Shelby became Crypto on Smallville. We've seen a great Crypto on Titans.
I think it's absolutely doable, and I think, I think they had the ability to go that route before all of this, especially expanding the universe the way like Suicide Squad was supposed to, where, I mean, in the trailer, you had Amanda Waller talking about maybe Superman was a beacon for these people with powers to come back. So like that stuff was like hidden.
Yeah.
And it really gave it that chance to, because the way it was expanding is it was literally growing from what they began with Man of Steel and BVS. It was literally growing, branching off. And I think it could have expanded and opened up to more of a comic book feeling world that was being built.
What he said.
But so I just hope it's I just hope it's not as crazy Silver Age, because there's some nutso stuff in Silver Age.
It's the Superman that makes the little Supermans from his hand.
Yeah.
Go, other Superman.
I mean, it's. I definitely don't want to see that, and I don't want to see any more cellophane S's. You know what I mean?
I don't want to see like. I just want to, man. Yeah. So the casting process is underway. There's all kinds of speculations of who's being looked at and all this, and we'll just wait and see. Like, I'm not going to break it down, like, because I'm not going to go down the rabbit holes that I did when it came to Justice League and BVS and that whole thing. When it was like every little
video of the Flash speculation on what's going to happen there.
That's a theory on how the time travel / multiverse things work, because that's my brain trying to figure it out and just putting things together and wanting to talk about it. Check that video out. It's so much better as a video just because I use the whiteboard and draw about how, the Earth, that makes sense. But like, in BVS, I was like every little piece of news, like when they were rumored about like Mark Strong or Bryan Cranston as Lex, and this person, the whole Jenna, what's her face, as Barbara Gordon, she was deleted from BVS, and all those like things like spiral into who's doing this or what, and it's like, oh my gosh, did you hear they cast? I'm just gonna wait till they officially announce anything.
Yeah, all the stuff that flew out at that time, like they didn't even. None of it panned out.
Oh, I know.
None of it panned out. Everything people were speculating.
We learned our
today.
lessons.
Today we saw a tweet from James Gunn saying that that every fan casting is speculation and wrong at this point. He even specified that only one person has been cast for Superman Legacy, and it's not even like a major character or anything that's going to like affect the plot or anything, as it sounds like. But that could all be just
and of course
keeping it down. But that's like
Brian thinks it's Aquaman. And here we go. We got a comment here. Discussions are fun though, even if it's some. I mean, I agree. They are fun. It's just I don't want.
Oh yeah, we had a lot of fun with a lot of fun theories on who characters would be, because I was all down for Jenna Malone to be Barbara Gordon.
Oh no,
I love her.
Laura's
She's
escaping
awesome.
upstairs.
Yeah.
And after her history with Zach, it made sense. All right, so back to the comics realm. DC has announced Action Comics presents Doomsday Special #1. This special issue is a 48-page one-shot, which will see Supergirl and Martian Manhunter teaming up to stop Doomsday. It will be written by Dan Waters with art by Eddie Barrows. The special will be available on multiple variant covers, and we're looking at this scheduled for release August 29th. Now, I know when I showed Solomon, hey, Sayla, the Dalmatian Wonder. When I showed Solomon this Doomsday, he got excited. He was like, we got to read this together. So I'll probably end up buying the standard cover and probably one of the variant covers for me, because I saw a couple that look kind of cool, and we'll see what we can find.
Yeah, is Rainbow Dash your favorite?
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I got more melatonin in the back.
This is Chaos. Chaos and Krypton. That's what we should rename the podcast. Chaos from Krypton.
KOAS.
Yes. Has to be double K'd. Krispy Kreme did it. Combat did it for Mortal. Anyone else do anything cool with K's? Corn. So Chaos from Krypton. And now I'm talking to myself and sitting with myself. Just yeah. Everything's crazy. Yes, kids being kids. I love it too. That's why everyone's like, why don't you do more lives? Or why? Why do you podcast late into the night? Kids being
This
kids.
is why.
Kids being kids.
Yeah, they're fine.
It's good for every now and then. Couldn't do it all the time because they drive me crazy. But James, while you were gone, while you were fighting crime again, as we renamed the podcast, what do you think about the Doomsday special? Like the Action Comics Doomsday special that's coming up?
It's coming up.
Oh, he must have not seen it. Yeah. One Shot Doomsday Special. It just dropped last night.
Oh, crap. No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah. It's going to be a 48-page special. This is how news flies here.
Yeah. No, well, without reading anything, I always thought that...
It's going to be Supergirl and Martian Manhunter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, I always thought that Doomsday is a very, that's a very interesting character. If you want, you'd have to do something good, something different with them. You know, some of the best Doomsday stories were, obviously the death, and then Hunter Prey.
Or the episode of Krypton where we saw him created. That was cool too.
Yeah, that was pretty great too. Or the where the story where Brainiac took over the body of Doomsday. The mind of Brainiac in the body of Doomsday. Like giving him a purpose, something to do, because otherwise he's just like a rampaging monster.
Do you think Doomsday's overused?
I mean, I would say no, but currently there's kind of trying to be this resurgence of Doomsday, and it's really tough because like when they did it last in the New 52 with Superman Doomed, like he was immortal in more ways than one.
Yeah, he was the virus, which I think has been a great idea that hasn't come back. And
which is what I think, like, kind of spawned the Doombreaker. The way the spine, the bone spine that the guy had affected him and changed him.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it's a logical step. It's really going to be how is that going to play out? You know, how is somebody who's going to be affected by Doomsday, you know, immortal creature, like how the only way they actually stopped him was dropping him off at the end of time to leave him in entropy.
Like I always say, Phantom Zone.
Yeah. Well, even that's how he escaped from the Phantom Zone and Doomed.
I know. Well, we're going to review that at some point, hopefully this year.
Yeah.
We'd like to.
So,
all right. Other news, let's see. 2 tracks from the upcoming score for The Flash were dropped yesterday. Check those out. I listened to both of them. Sounds really good, from Benjamin Wallfish. I think that's how you pronounce it. I like it. I like scores. So I look forward to checking that out more. And in comics news, big deal, Wonder Woman 800. Wonder Woman's getting a daughter named Trinity.
Yep, taking place 20 years in the future.
And then
20 years from like a current timeline.
Yeah, and then the Dawn of DC story is going to be how we get to that 20-year period of where she is. So she is what's funny is like Trinity is Wonder Woman's daughter, and Wonder Woman's the last of the Trinity to have a child.
Yeah, I'm curious as to who her father is going to be. It's not going to be Superman like it was in Strikes Again.
That Elseworlds table.
Unlikely it's going to be Wonder Bat. So
it better be Trevor.
Steve Trevor. I think it makes sense that if she were going to have.
It's going to be Chris Pine. Like somehow, like it's going to get meta that Chris Pine, the actor, meets Wonder Woman in the book, and like that's how Trinity comes to be. I feel that's the big mystery.
I feel it would only be best if it was Trevor.
Yeah,
I do.
I agree. I feel like that's what the mystery is going to be. Building to is the revelation of Wonder Woman's father, or the father of Wonder Woman's daughter. But that's all I have for news. Sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean they're pushing the Flash. They're pushing the Flash real hard right now.
I agree. The only Dawn of DC book that I've read that I was okay because I didn't like what they did, but I'm giving it the leeway right now is Green Arrows. It wasn't as I didn't have expectations for it, but like I was rereading all of Green Arrow Rebirth, and that book dropped, and it just wasn't hitting what I had hoped for, I guess. But we'll see where it goes. I really enjoyed Shazam. The Dan Mora and Mark Waid Shazam for Dawn of DC. So I'm really looking forward to reading that and continuing that storyline.
Did you look that up online, or was that on the app? Or because I know that the Superboy, the Man of Tomorrow, keeps dropping early.
Yeah,
on
so
the app.
That threw us for the first issue, like, and that's why I'm like, should we review that? I think we'll wait and review that book because I don't want to. I don't want to review the book when not everyone's had a chance to read the book. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
There's a difference when if you're waiting for it on the app compared to like I can go and buy it compared to it's on the app a week before it's in the stores.
Yeah, which is interesting. I mean, the books we've been reviewing on Ultra has been the books that are a month old, that are over a month old. So,
like, did you read Superman Lost #2 yet?
I read 1. I didn't get the chance to read 2.
We're gonna do this, but
I have my tablet in the car, and we're staying in a hotel tonight. I'm gonna be able to sit back, less kids, just the baby, read a little bit. We're gonna hang out, you know.
I did read the Free Comic Book Day Night Terrors teaser.
I have that.
Did you read it yet?
No.
It was cool. Like, it's just
I haven't gotten to open up any of my books from Free Comic Book Day.
I was on the app. That's the only reason I got to read it. It was actually one of the books I wanted to check out. It's just like a short little story with Damian. Like, he's out on patrol with Batman, and it's very like Inception, where he's having a nightmare, but he thinks he's at home and he's having a nightmare, and it comes through, and then he wakes up, he's at home, but then he wakes up again and eventually finds out he's in the middle of an act 2 with Batman. So it was interesting.
Yeah, it's supposed to be some sort of horror type.
It's a whole horror event that's going to cover like the entire DC universe.
Yeah, it's supposed to be everybody or a good chunk of people, and horror is right up my alley. So
I just think it's interesting.
I think it'll be a good interesting read, something new in the world, in the DC world to read.
I read
besides Deceased.
So
which was fantastic. I finished that. They just finished that.
I read after they announced I needed something to read. Like after they announced McFarlane they were doing the Superman vampire figure. I read the whole DC versus vampires. That was really fascinating, and it ended on an interesting note. And I guess it's just year 1, and they're going to do a year 2 or something. But
oh, cool.
I highly recommend that story because that was really fascinating for anyone to check out. Like,
I read the zombies. I think I read the first issue of DC versus Vampires, but I haven't finished out the whole series of that yet.
Yeah, I cooked through that on the app. God, I love
or
that.
Task Force Z.
I like the app when it works. So
I don't ever have a problem with the app. You know what? The only problem I do have with the app is occasionally downloads. When I download something I go there, it says I'm offline and I can't read it. Although it's supposed to be downloaded and I should be able to read it.
That is the problem that I tried to download some stuff before I got on the plane.
I switched it from HD to standard, and that has helped.
Okay.
Standard downloads.
Maybe that's what I got to do.
That helped.
Okay, because mine won't even download anymore, and books I already tried to delete out of my downloads still show they're there. Or I just get the Alfred saying, "Oops, there's been an error."
Yeah, I get that one.
And I'm like, okay. But what I mean by the app working is like when you go and you're reading stuff and all of a sudden there's this giant chunk of comic book information that's just gone. You're like, oh, so what happened in the 80s? But you can jump over to Rebirth or the New 52. Wait, where'd all these books go?
Oh, you mean like its comprehensive collection?
Yeah.
Like
when we were doing the like when you and I did the red and blue last year,
Yeah.
and then when Anthony Desiato recently
Oh yeah,
did
they
the
didn't
red
have
and
the
blue.
special or whatever.
Yeah, which introduces the whole red and blue thing. It's not on there, but you can read the first issue when it actually takes over.
Yeah, when Blue shows up and it's just Blue for a while.
When they meet, and you're like, oh, but you have no idea how they came to be. So, here we go. Ready?
Yeah, there it is.
Exactly.
Right
A lot of the Superman triangle era is missing. Yes, it is, and it's annoying. And a lot of older comics that I would love to read.
And it is a thing that they are adding new comics every week.
We need to add more. We need more back catalog. So, as a fan, like the back catalog is important to find the stuff that you never would have had access to, or is hard to find. Like
I've got a lot to read from back issues.
Just need to download it.
I read a lot more current books than I do, anything. I mean, even pre-Flashpoint.
Yeah, I get that. But let's dive into the reviews for this week. We have over on the table here, Action 1054. Did you get to read that, James?
Yes, I read the main story.
So let's fire it up.
Yeah.
Look, an actual book here together.
I was gonna say I usually have mine and he has his, but
now you can actually see it. Ooh, a book.
Yeah,
I'm gonna let you take over since you're holding it because I can't see it.
Oh, go ahead. It's your book. I actually have my issue out in the car. I forgot to go get them and bring them in before we started.
Fists up for Metallo. I like this. Us comic book fans always have a lot to read. It never really ends.
Oh no!
Amen. Amen.
My to read stat continues to grow. It doesn't matter how many I read.
You read more, and like it's just the nature of comics. Like, oh, I want to read this now, and I want to read this, and everything just keeps boiling over. And the next thing you know, you have so much. You just
as long as DC Universe Infinite Ultra is there, I'm gonna have it. I'm gonna be trying to keep up as much as I can on modern and current continuity.
My wife's okay, so sometimes we'll lay down at bed and she'll be like, "Well, I'm gonna read. Let's just read together." And I'm like, "Okay." So do you have something to read? I'm like, I have DC Ultra. I always have something to read.
Right? Yeah.
I'm like, I have books I want to read, but I always have these comics.
Yeah.
So
I can't read my novels because I have too many comics.
Right? The novels don't have the fun pictures.
Yeah, right.
So
doesn't have the action.
This starts where we left off with Otho. Yep. And John and Oslo. Man, I'm just letting you talk. Showing up to find out what happened. And John's costume looks much darker the way they penciled it here. And there's this crowd of people, and basically it's Metallo. And you're Metallo.
All the unmade. Metallo is unmade.
They're attacking, and
I think they're like posing as the Blue Earth.
Yes.
People. They're there being as the petitioners for the Blue Earth people. No aliens on Earth.
Yep.
But they're all Metallo's unmade.
I like on the next page you see Clark, and he's like, something on fire. It looks like, oh no, it's the kids. And I just like how if you look at the top, the people, how their hair is and the hat, then Clark whooshes away and Lois's hair's up, the ponytail from the dude's up, Blade's hair's up, the guy's hat's blowing off, much like your hat when you flew in.
Yeah, I lost it.
And then we see John fighting them, and the kids don't know what to do. And this Metallo is so creepy.
He's always had a creepiness to him, like when he would always get that skin destroyed off of him, and it'd be like that machine coming out from under the skin,
Very Terminator.
Yeah, very Terminator-esque. But now with that alien technology, like he's even more like freaky.
And how the skin just kind of lingers there. You're just kind of like, eh. And then so he grabs the kids, and then boom, Clark shows up, and they're fighting. And basically, the big thing is, John wants to go and get the kids. He blames himself, and Clark's like, "No, I'll do this. Bring the rest of the family, everyone, and take these things down before anyone else gets hurt. Can you do that?" "Yes, sir." And John's listening, and Clark flies off, and he says, "No, Dad, please, it has to be me." And he feels guilty that these kids were taken by Metallo. We get this
because in last issue they were questioning John, like if he hated them, because their kids getting to experience like the having parents at the age he should have had his parents, because he missed out on all those years with his parents. So it's a very I wasn't particularly liking the idea of John like almost playing that maybe jealous role of not getting to have that time with his parents. It's understandable. I think it's an interesting route, but I think him being concerned with them hating him, like he doesn't want them to feel that way. It's not their fault that that time was missed. So he doesn't want them to feel that way. So I think that elevated it.
I agree. I'm just waiting for John to get hit by the time ray and gets DH back to being 12. And all is well in the world. Because he's still it's still confusing, because it's kind of like, it reminds me a little bit about like when Wally came back for a little while and you had Wally and Barry and they were both the Flash.
Right.
So now you have Clark and John and they're both Superman.
Right. And Connor, who is older than John, technically, is still Superboy.
Yeah. And, John was Superboy for a while, and now it's just like, I've said for a while with this, like, Connor needed his own moniker, and Brian had the great idea of, like, not calling him Red Sun, like that being his code name.
Right.
And I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah, that was a really cool one.
Because he needs something, because if John Kent's going to be Superboy, and we need something for Connor, can't be like Super Bro. What's up, Super Bro?
Right.
But
I mean, maybe if he had the 90s.
Yeah.
That page you were showing, though, that's the first time, I think, with the Supercorp, that's the first time that Superman, that Action Comics has it since Superman #1, which is only 3 issues, but this is the first time within the 6 issues since they launched the Dawn of DC that Supercorp, that there seems to be a cohesion element to Superman and Action. I feel like all superheroes. Yeah.
I feel like all superheroes have their own names. Give them something unique. I know that's controversial, at least on Twitter. Yes. I mean, it's kind of like...
Everything's controversial on Twitter.
It's kind of like how they tried to give Tim Drake his own identity. I mean, he already had Red Robin, which I thought was a horrible name, period. But then they were like, Drake.
Which didn't last.
Which was like, no.
Which didn't last. Thank goodness.
I wonder who that savior is. Named James Cole. I don't know. He just calls himself Cole. Who could it be, James?
Right. I mean, his own costume was really unique when he was Red Robin.
Yeah, I wish he had just not been Red Robin. Like, where's Blue Robin?
We got that's Blue Jay.
We got Blue Bird, but
Blue Bird.
Where's Orange Robin, or Green Robin, or Yellow Robin, or Black Robin? Like, when does it end, Robin? But we do see Metallo. He has both the kids, and this is where Clark is facing him, and he really starts to get the sense that something is wrong with Metallo. He's like, "You're no hero. Nothing like ever could be. No living thing is supposed to have power like this. No matter that good guy act you put on." And he's really getting the sense that something is off with Metallo. Metallo kind of has like kryptonite heat vision type thing right here. And we get to see Clark basically reach in. And it looks like, I mean, how would you discern it? But it looks like he's channeling his electric power. But it comes off because it's that fire of Olgrin thing.
Yeah.
You know, because that was my first thought. I was like, is he doing the electric? But no, it's the fire of Olgrin, and basically rips out the heart.
Yeah, it has something to do with him being more powerful since he came into contact with the orphan box and that fire. It was something they were using to try whoever's manipulating Metallo, something they were using to power Metallo. Clearly they didn't get the message that it soups up Superman too. So even though there was a kryptonite basis in there was something that supercharged Superman as well.
This is probably one of my favorite Superman quotes right here. It says, when John's now kind of thinking clearly and whatever was in his head is gone, and they're talking about his sister, John's like, so go ahead, do what the big man does. And Superman says, am I supposed to put my foot on your neck now, humiliate you? And then he floats down, he's next to, says, do you really think so little of me? And Superman says, whatever strength I have doesn't belong to me. It belongs to those who need it. And right now, that is you. You've killed people and you'll answer for it. But first, it sounds like your sister needs both of us right now. And so he teams up with John Corbin, because, another John's like the Bible, where everyone's name is John. And we see his sister is right here, all.
I was gonna say, I think we saw that before, where she was hung up.
And we find out who's really been controlling Corbin. And this was kind of a big reveal, kind of threw me. Did you know? Did you even think this?
No, I didn't. I did not.
I thought it was going to be one of someone from Warworld.
Yeah,
one of the
Chattel.
Yeah,
one of the what are they? One of Mongol's group of people. I can't remember their group. Yeah, but that's who I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be Warworld people.
But it wasn't. It was Cyborg Superman, which is a very interesting Cyborg Superman.
So is this Cyborg Superman going to be souped up by unmade abilities now?
I wonder.
Or unmade technology?
I don't remember the last time I saw Cyborg Superman. And I don't want to spoil the other stories that are in the back for James, who hasn't read them. So the Superman and Lois.
Yeah, I got through the first part and had to set it down, and
part 4
didn't get a chance to pull it back out.
It's good.
Part 4, I'm wondering what happens with Doombreaker, because he showed up at Lois and Clark's house.
And the Steel story. So we will review those at a later date.
I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with Steel, because I know that Steel Works is coming in June, I believe, next month.
Which makes sense.
New Steel book.
So, all right,
John
James,
Williams.
won't we hop over to our next comic, which is
Adventures of Superman, John Kent, number 3. Got the Injustice saga rages on. So from reading this, it kind of seems like this takes place later, maybe around year 3, year 4.
That's
because Damian seems to be Nightwing.
That was the biggest thing that I asked you. When does this take place? Because it seems like it takes place. The other world hasn't come over yet, which is the game storyline.
Yeah, that's prior to year 5.
So I'm just so when this would take place, I was kind of curious about. So,
yeah. Well, like I said, Damian, when he kills Dick Grayson, spoilers for anybody who hasn't read Injustice, which has been around for quite a long time.
I agree. John, once he dies, yep.
Yeah, that's a legacy moniker. I mean, granted, yes, it should be for probably his son who would take on the mantle, but I mean, for a long time there wasn't. For the longest time there wasn't a John Kent, and Connor just kind of got relegated to being Superboy in the background. You know, he was only Superboy, and then he was with the Titans and Young Justice. But yeah, so Adventures of Superman, John Kent. We get John waking up in the Hall of Justice. Wonder Woman concerned with Cal and how he feels because this isn't as we can see throughout this story, she's like, he's not your son, even though he has your face in her eyes, and that he's not your son. He's not the son you lost. But he has him being looked over by, cared for by Lex Luthor. And we know that Lex Luthor in the Injustice world is a good guy. He's not necessarily the Lex Luthor that we know, who's an antagonist and enemy of Superman. Even though in Injustice he does turn on Superman, but that's because Superman's a tyrant.
Watch this power. Oh, look at that water. It's amazing.
Can you make that pop? Yeah. All right.
And they say the Force doesn't exist.
Just comes out of nowhere. It's so far away. I'm reaching for it.
This is kind of like when Thor's calling on his hammer and it's like really far. That's James.
And he's just standing there like, all right, hold on. It's coming.
Wait for it.
Wait for it.
And then Fist was like, wait for it.
He's concerned, John. He's concerned waking up with Lex Luthor examining him.
I mean, yeah, that'd be weird.
Yes, Luthor. This is Luthor. Get away from me. So I take it we're not close on your world. That's a shame. You have nothing to fear from me here, son. See?
Oh,
told you it was coming.
we are not sponsored by Dr. Pepper, but we sure as heck would. If they want to, I will drink as much Dr. Pepper as that is needed to gain a sponsorship. Also, I also have been looking out to see if Dr. Pepper, if we see any Flash cans, just because they did do Wonder Woman cans on Dr. Pepper, and they did BVS cans on Dr. Pepper. So I was hoping maybe the Flash might be on Dr. Pepper. I don't know.
Right.
Back to James.
Back to John Kent. So he starts talking to his father. His father starts talking to Superman. Injustice Superman returns. He says, "I lost your mother, and I have encountered an Ultraman before." Which is yours because he said you killed Ultraman, which he did. He snapped his neck. Yep. He says that he wasn't alone. He tells him about another Superman and an android who were an Ultraman sent them to the Phantom Zone. He says, we'll try and get them back together. And then Flash shows up. What's the emergency? Hi, random teenager in a familiar costume who bears a striking resemblance to the Superman he's standing next to. I'm pretty good at taking things in stride, but are we going to get an explanation for this, or is it later? What are we dealing with? Attacks on 2 barracks in Gotham and Star City. Damian is already in Gotham handling it. John's curious. Damian, Damian's his best friend. So he's interested in Damian of this world. He asks if he can help or how he can help. And this Superman we know is very
nope.
Yeah, it's bold and italicized and surrounded in red, and he's like, no. Nice. Just stay here, be safe.
This is the stuff I do that you don't actually see me.
I know, right?
when we do this. I do this kind of same stuff when it's just for audio. Sometimes it's usually more audio. I'm more like this, like laid back and everything. But here, like I'm more
right, all up in front and intense.
Like people can see me compared to when I'm like just staring off into space like this.
Yeah, I know. Sitting back, talking like this. Just yeah. So go to the regime barracks in Gotham. Batman's there. He calls him father. This is, the soldiers, you're so content to knock unconscious, have lives and family. A family is no protection. They chose to serve a corrupt ruler and an unjust system, as did you, Damian. And Damian goes to attack. And, like, in this, his suit looks Robin. Like, it doesn't look like he's taken on the Nightwing
it doesn't look
version
really,
yet, but he's definitely more grown.
Yeah, this is like, it looks like some like transition because his hair's not there yet. Like in the game, his hair's all like real long,
and he's taken on the Nightwing moniker. Yeah, and it's out of respect for Dick Grayson.
Yeah,
I mean that is one thing. That is one thing for Damian as a character, with all of the him being an assassin, growing up as an assassin, and having killed people. Like that's he has guilt for killing Dick Grayson. He basically killed his brother.
Yes. Dick and Damian always have a really interesting, good relationship.
Yeah. So their interaction here is interesting, though. I'm new here, but surely we can talk out whatever's going on. Damian's like, "Who the hell are you?" John has that feeling, that camaraderie, that friendship. And this Damian is not his friend.
Especially this one. This one's
which is pretty cool here. He throws him. Damian chucks him. And says, "Whoa, how are you so strong?" Which at this point in time, they have the little green pills that give them superpowers.
I had forgotten about that, and I was like, wait, there was something, wasn't there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the only way you can get some of these people to actually have a physical confrontation with each other,
Or
like
they just don't fight because they shouldn't, because
right. Well, I mean, you got Civil War, you got something like that here.
Everybody fights everybody.
But Damian, him beating up Batman, and of course Batman gets away, like he always does. He calls him Robin, so he's still Robin at this point. What are you doing, John? What are you doing here? He can't ignore people when they need him. Sounds like he takes after his father. Says the attack on Star City, it was a fake. The real target was Gotham City,
the city of justice, the city of peace, the city for all of us. If you're R. Kelly,
Damian blaming John. This is on you, kid. And this is fun, kid. I'm pretty sure we're around the same age. I may even be a little older than. Don't get in my way again. I mean, this Damian is even more brooding than Damian ever was.
He's angry. He's got a lot of self-hate inside of him.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Self-hate, I think, is definitely the way to go there. It was a tragic accident. Dick Grayson died. Bruce blamed Damian. Damian blamed himself, too. His father cast him out, disowned him. Somewhat what happened, not entirely accurate, but somewhat,
Somewhat. Just enough to kind of...
Yeah. Out of his own anger, he attacked Dick, and Dick died. So, yes, it is his fault. And, yes, Batman did kind of disown him. He kind of walked out on him. But he did spend a lot of time trying to get him back. And Damian wasn't having that.
No. It was sad.
So Clark takes him, or rather Cal, takes him up out into orbit so they can hear. He wants to show him the world that he's created. How quiet it is. There's no gunfire. There's no wars. There's no people fighting. And he says, I'd love to show you the world we've built. He said, could I see it alone? Yes, of course, I understand. We have nothing to hide. You should see what we've accomplished. And here we get the discussion between Wonder Woman and Cal. He's young, he's idealistic and naive. He may not understand nor support your methods. What would you have me do instead? Keep him locked up in a tower? I'm not going to imprison my child, Diana. He's not your child, Cal. Your child died.
I always felt like Injustice Wonder Woman was a little bit more of like the devil in his ear. She was definitely more of like the warrior.
Yeah.
Who was ready to just slaughter and fight.
Yeah. The Wonder Woman Injustice was definitely more the world is beyond saving unless we save it. Yeah, absolutely. He says, let him see what we've achieved, then he and I will discuss it. We have John flying around, looking at the world. The world is similar to ours, the people, the places, but I can feel it. The air is slightly cleaner, and if I reach out, if I let down the blocks I always have in place, I can't hear bombs or gunfire. It's so quiet I can just hear. And he hears a baby falling. A child fell from a balcony. And he catches the baby. Says, let's find whatever apartment you fell from. Make sure that won't happen again. The mother comes out. Thank you. I'm so sorry. And John notices she's scared. It won't happen again, I promise. He says, but she's not scared of me. She's not even looking at my face. It's the symbol on my chest. It's quiet. Cal shows up, says, well, what do you think? You can see it, can't you? What we've done here, the difference we've made. But John says, this world is so quiet, but not because it's peaceful, not because it's free. Yeah, I can see it. It's quiet because everyone is holding their breath, because everyone is afraid to make noise. Which I love that idea, you know. I mean, I like Injustice.
Yeah.
So, Superman.
His name is Injustice James.
I'm gonna have to start putting that up right there when I get on.
We lost Superman Red. He is now Injustice James.
Yeah. So the idea of Superman being this authoritarian, in Injustice he's a tyrant. In Red Sun he's an authoritarian.
That's a good way.
In Injustice he's a tyrant.
That's a good way of looking at it.
They both became somewhat similar, but in different ways, and are taking different routes. You know,
Red Sun is him being raised in a different environment and different ideology system.
Yeah,
that was even then. It still had some of the core roots. Injustice is him being affected by trauma that he can't control.
Yeah. Well, him being a large part of the trauma that occurred.
And him having a role in that.
Yeah. So just having that story, that version of Superman, and then having John Kent show up, the son that he maybe would have had, you know, what's that going to do to him? You know, is that going to, now it's not going to change the events of Injustice of what happened, but like, what's that going to do? And is he going to stand up to this version of Superman?
He's going to use his
when are we getting Val Zod back?
That's the one that I feel like we got robbed with this story.
I was so excited, and then he was gone in 2 issues.
Yeah, like really having Val Zod and John on this mission to stop Ultraman.
Yeah.
And getting to see, because like Val Zod seems like a really cool character, and I say he seems like because I feel like he hasn't really got as much play as we want.
No, not necessarily, because he was involved in Everything Earth 2, and Everything Earth 2 was
even then
was like Injustice or like Deceased, where it encompassed so many people. He wasn't a focal point.
Yeah, so it'd be nice to. Earth 2 was interesting, and then the second Earth 2 book wasn't. It was weird, but all right. So that's comics for right now, and we'll circle back around with those too many stories next time with James, so that we can get those final. I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah, did I tell you the comic shop pulled me a second Superman number 3? I got 2 of them right now, so I got to take it back next week and exchange it for a book. Like, you know what? This got pulled for me before. I came in and I got another one.
Why are you doing this? Why are you giving me 2 issues?
Yeah, right.
Not even good covers. That's what But we're going to talk Superman and Lois, Season 3, Episode 7, Forever and Always. Now, usually James and I try to do these episodes apart because I hate if I don't get a chance to write down my notes and not have like the a lot of thoughts. It sucks. But because of like the travel and everything, and because I actually almost watched these 2 episodes back to back,
they're almost very cohesive
and
in these 2 episodes.
They are a nice little. So we're gonna do the best that we can to kind of differentiate and hit everything. So I didn't get time to take notes or anything for these episodes. But Superman, Forever and Always, Lois and Clark dig deeper on Bruno Mannheim, starting with the connections to Hops Bay Medical Center. Jonathan and Jordan panic at home over Lois's dire diagnosis, and Mateo comes to Smallville to meet John Henry.
And he has a secret.
So we're going to start with...
no, he doesn't have a secret. It's nothing he's keeping from anybody.
So the Mateo twist, Jania called that. Like we called that a while back because it just seemed cool. It worked. I got a question for you. Something that you pointed out that I didn't think about, and we'll get there in the next part. But all right, so this simply Lois and Clark argue about preparing for basically death, and they have Lois set up a will and all that. And Jordan and Jonathan find that, and the biggest thing that comes out of it is Jonathan's lecture to Clark, where he tells him, because Jordan and Jonathan go to the fortress, and they're talking there directly to their grandmother AI about Kryptonian tech and helping their mom. And there's a great part where Clark comes and they have a discussion, one about sharing that technology with the world, what that could mean, but also her body not being strong enough to go through the process even. I thought it was an interesting way of dealing with the idea that if Clark could save Lois with Kryptonian tech, why couldn't he give that to the entire world? Which has always kind of been something in Superman stories.
Yeah.
They even try to tackle it in All-Star, where he's like, and even in Superman Doomsday, the animated movie, where we see Lex cure cancer, but then decide to
make it a treatment and slow it to a crawl, so it's a lifetime treatment.
Yeah, and it's juxtaposed with Superman saying, I can't figure out how to stop human cells from metastasizing. So I thought that was a really clever way of like approaching the subject of why can't Kryptonian tech just, heal her. Like my desk that Jania made me years ago.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I wasn't gonna...
It's okay. It's got like poly on it. It just probably use another coat or two. It's been so old and been through so much. But bought this desk at the thrift store, and Jania made the top for me with some old comics. So that was really good, and Jonathan gives Clark this whole speech about hope, which is like, he's like, did hope stop mom from getting cancer? And I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember all of it. It's like, did hope stop your dad from having a heart attack? Did hope, and he just like rattles off all these things that have happened, and it really puts his dad kind of in place of like, yeah, you can hope for it, but like, will it actually stop something from happening? It was really,
well, clearly. So I definitely think, he's also giving more to the ability or the idea of what Kryptonian technology could accomplish. Kryptonian technology didn't stop them from destroying their world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not like Kryptonian technology, yes, maybe
It's a cure-all.
far advanced, but it's not a cure-all. It's not the thing that's going to change, that's going to eliminate all disease. That's going to, stop people from having a heart attack. If they're going to have a heart attack, they're probably going to have a heart attack.
Yeah. In John, I can't remember how he says it, but basically, he doesn't see himself as being part Kryptonian, even though he is. And Clark says it to him, you're just as much Kryptonian as your brother, just you never developed the power side, but you still have the, inside of you.
Yeah.
Which makes me think it'll be one of those situations where later down the line, John will have a child, and that child will develop powers.
Right.
And Jordan will have a kid that won't have powers.
Yeah. Well, with this firefighter thing that he's been doing, I almost wondered if something wouldn't develop along that route. Like if he eventually got to do that, actually go into, because we know that he's just a trainee.
Yeah.
If he's actually able to
Like
step into a fire and there, that heightened situation, everything around him, and he might almost die.
Well, like I told you,
Or maybe he almost does die, but he miraculously survives.
Like before we had theorized about something triggering where he has slightly enhanced strength, a little bit. He's a little bit faster.
Yeah.
Like his skin's a little denser. Like he can take a little bit more. Nothing enough that unless you were studying him, you would notice.
Right.
Like little things that he notices that he has a little
but
bit more endurance.
being an athlete out on the field like he was,
Right. Like we had theorized about that, about how he has a slighter less than, but he had something. But at this point, I don't know if they'd go that route. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I feel like with what they're doing this season, how much more grounded it is. I don't know if they would go like giving John power. Just leave it with it.
Well, because in this episode, I mean, there's like hardly or almost no Superman at all.
There is no Superman in the suit in this episode, and James didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
It's like
that's what I mean by it being such a good series that an entire episode goes by and he doesn't even suit up and didn't even know it. I love the freaking episode.
And that just shows that I love the characters, and like Clark himself is just as well as a good character as Superman. And from a production point of view, if you can pull that off and make just a great enough episode, that means that money that you would save for special effects, you can just roll into another episode for more of the spectacle, which I think is what they're going to do because of things that happen later. But the other big thing about this is John Henry meets Mateo, and there's a great line where he's talking with Lana, and he's like, "Yeah, Nat's got a boyfriend, but he's coming down from trial." He's not really thinking of it.
I'm gonna be the cool dad.
Yeah, and she's like, "Well, Metropolis isn't that far. He has his own car." And then it kind of dawns on John, like, "Oh, this could be actually something serious. That my daughter is going to have a boyfriend."
Yeah. He provides lunch. He makes lunch. He doesn't keep his cool like he wanted to, which is funny. Kind of goes on questioning him. And then Natalie's like, "Nope, that's it. We're leaving." They take off. They go to the movies. Then he gets to go see Lana and have a nice time with Lana, discussing him being the dad and him freaking out about his daughter having a
"What happened
boyfriend.
to the cool dad?"
Yeah,
he never showed up.
he never showed up. I like that line. Yeah, that was really good. And then they had a good moment together, a good time together. They had dinner.
building up from when those two get together.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's still pushing. You know what I mean? I think it's still pushing.
You mean Cushing?
No. We're gonna get to Cushing. Yeah, the way they interact, the way she stops him because they're out on the street. They walk by the theater, and Mateo and Nat are kissing, and she stops him.
Brian's on his way.
Sheldon, and she stops him. She's like, "No, like, bring it down." Yeah. And then he has a good conversation with Mateo after that.
Yeah, he does.
And then Lana sees Sarah and Christy getting along, and then we can go back to that in a minute. Like, yeah.
So this episode starts where Lana,
yeah,
Lana and Sarah are in the one diner, the one restaurant in Smallville, much like the one restaurant I have here in Kingston.
Yeah,
like I showed James,
we went
the small town that I live in. And she comes to pick up a breakfast order, and they say the order, and Sarah and Lana know immediately that it's Kyle's, because I guess Kyle likes extra gravy with his biscuits. So they knew for sure that was him, because nobody else would order extra gravy.
Yeah, right.
It's not like in the Blues Brothers when they order 4 fried chickens and a Coke or plain white toast with no crust. That's pretty weird.
Yeah.
But
get a specific breakfast order anyway.
And then Chrissy, of course, already feels awkward about it. And Sarah brings up the thing about the age difference between Chrissy and Kyle, and she's like, "It's gross." And Janine and I had a conversation like, what is the age difference? Because didn't
they say something like maybe 10 years or something?
Okay, so we'll just say 10 years. So that means, because we were talking about this, we put the Lana, Kyle, Clark, Lois in their early 40s. That's where we've put them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Clark's been Superman for about 20 years.
Yeah, because his kids are 16. You know, we're using things, context clues as much as we can to kind of.
And maybe at this time, at least a good 17-ish or so. Were they 15 or 16 when they?
They just turned 16. That was the big thing. That's right. Was their 16th birthday in this season?
Oh, okay. That was was it the 16th birthday that they did the photo montage and stuff? Okay.
I wanted them to slip like a photo in just as a wink of the other actor who played John. Kind of like how in Vacation, Rusty's looking through all his photos and it's all the different Rustys.
Oh, okay.
But so that's kind of where we're putting them. Okay. So let's say Chrissy is 30 and Kyle's 40. At that point in your life, 10 years isn't that much of a difference. It's not like Chrissy's 20, Kyle's 30, and his daughter's like 17. Yeah. Then that gets weird because then you're too close to your daughter that it's extremely uncomfortable.
Right.
Or it should be. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
But Chrissy's an adult. Like I said, I'm putting her, in her 30s. Well,
Sarah was mean to Chrissy in this episode to begin with.
She's very mean, and the idea is Kyle's moving on. Lana's got to move on. The Chrissy thing just kind of happened, but part of the arc of the episode is, Chrissy shows up because it's going to be Kyle, Chrissy, and Sarah going to the movies. Kyle can't because of work. So then Chrissy and Sarah end up going. And they're talking about stuff for the movies, and we find out that Chrissy sneaks candy into the movie theater, which is a no-no, because if you like going to the movies, the only way the movie theater makes money is concessions. That's why it's overpriced. They don't make money off tickets, especially more now because of how movies run. They make money off the food they sell.
Yeah,
so if you want to keep going,
it's a very small percentage they make off of ticket sales.
So
like single-digit percentages.
Yeah, so look it up, okay? Because that's how they make their money. So that's why they have to charge more. If you like going, that's. So Sarah's digging through her purse and finds a special baggie of gummies that Chrissy forgot was in there because she goes to Coachella every year, and we find out that Chrissy's a stoner,
right?
And so my dad is, because I totally that's what I think of,
right?
Right. Makes total sense to me. I don't buy the food though. Yeah, I mean, I get if you don't, but that's sadly how they make money, and that's how it works. That's why everything's overpriced. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I see what you say. I don't buy.
You don't sneak anything in.
Yeah. So I get that too. Like when I was younger, we go to baseball games. My dad would always take us on Time of Dog Night because it was 10 cents per hot dog.
Right.
So everything's overpriced. I totally get it. I get it. But it was hilarious because those two bond. Lana sees it. She's jealous.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just Lana having to learn to live her life and getting out of there. And
yeah, get food before or food after.
Yeah, where it's more reasonably priced. And so
what's reasonable these days? I don't think anything is.
Yeah, that's true. You ain't eating unless you got like $10. There is no dollar menus anymore. They have gone bye-bye.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that survives is Del Taco.
What if people who are watching and listening, like, what's a dollar menu?
Yeah.
I've never even seen one or heard of one.
My favorite is Del Taco has their snack tacos for 50 cents, and the kids will get those, and about 2 to 3 of those will fill them up. So that's how I survive when I got to hit on the run on Taco Tuesdays. Anyways, so that's all I really have I can remember from Forever and Always. Wait, no. End of part 1. If you're enjoying our live fun, wait till you hear part 2 where things get really crazy. I didn't want to hit too much with you at one time, so enjoy the 2-parter.
If you are like Tyler and James and can't get enough super talk, check out these other podcasts. Digging for Kryptonite, Supergirl Radio, The Last Sons of Krypton, The Superboy Legacy Podcast, All-Star Superfans, Superman the Animated Podcast, The Aspiring Kryptonians, Always Hold On to Smallville, The Geek of Steel, and Truth justice, and hope.
Remember to check out Krypton Report on all social media platforms. Go to linktree.com/Krypton Report. You find all of our report.
This is Dan Jurgens, and if you want to have a good time, keep listening to the Krypton Report.
Before we start this episode of Krypton Report, I want to take a moment and just give a shout out here to our Patreon. I know what you're thinking. Gosh, everyone's asking for money, and I get it. But our Patreon is only $1. $1 a month that helps us keep the podcast going. And what we do is we try to find interesting shows and topics and whatever we want to talk about. We've done, as of this little thing, our last recordings were on the Scream series. Brian and Tyler, that's me, do our own show where we record in the car, and it's kind of funny. And we talk about pop culture or whatever is going on. We also have the Supernatural podcast we've been reworking. It's taken some time just because of life. But we do movie commentaries as well. It's something that James and I have done, what we used to do on the main show that we've started doing here. So for $1 a month on our Patreon, you can get those shows. There's at least 4 a month. Also, there's my movie pitch show that I do. But also, what we want is if you're a Patreon, you can come on. You can come on the main show if you want. Or if there's something you want to come on and talk about, we can do it as a Patreon special. So all I want is for $1 a month, think about chipping in, joining our Patreon, and you have a voice to be part of things.
Look up in the sky.
We just want to say if you've enjoyed this podcast, please check out other podcasts on the Press Play Podcast Network. Information $1 a month, you'll get extra special content that you don't get on the main show, like movie commentaries and whatever else comes out of our mouths. So check it out, patreon.com/Krypton.